I do not now call the Cass County Planning Commission meeting to order.
Take roll. Jim Donato.
Here.
John Guy. Josh Ladani.
Here.
Mike Kinsey.
Here.
Stacy Odom.
Here.
Krista Poland. Here. Jim Sailors. Fred Seahays.
Here.
George Stebbins.
Here. Everybody reviewed the minutes. Do we have a motion on the minutes? Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Reports, nothing, Aaron?
No.
Full business, nothing?
Nothing.
New business, WIN committee discussion. We reviewed the current committees, and we have a ordinance committee that fits the purpose for the WIN ordinance. I currently serve on that committee, and I won't be able to serve on that committee with my other obligations I have as in surveyor's office. Is there anybody who would take my spot?
I'd be willing.
You got it.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Now we need a motion for the ordinance review committee to review the wind ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Now, floor is open to public comments.
Hello, my name is Paige Woodhouse. I live at 4477 West State Road 16. Can I first ask who else is on that ordinance committee?
Krista Poland, Fred Seahays, and Jim Sailor. And Stacy.
And now Stacy is
Yeah.
taking your place
Yeah.
for this purpose, okay? It has been stated on multiple occasions that we as concerned citizens of Cass County are just here to stop the Harvest Wind Project. Clearly that's not the case, because last week the news broke that the Harvest Wind Project was quote-unquote dead, and we're still here because our concern is not the Harvest Wind Project. Our concern is the ordinance. So thank you for taking time to review that ordinance. We look forward to your information that you have there. I do want to share with you that as concerned citizens, we have collected 1,850 signatures on a petition to increase the setbacks to 2,640 feet from a property line. This petition was started in November 2017, before many of us had completed our own research and simply went with a half-mile setback from a property line. However, after researching wind turbine safety standards, effects on quality of life, and property value, there is so much more than just a half-mile setback that needs to be changed in our ordinance. With no project at the moment, I would encourage you as the Planning Commission to request the commissioners to approve a moratorium while you research and plan how to best protect the health, safety, welfare, and quality of life for all Cass County residents. At this moment, with our ordinance, we are sitting ducks ready to be attacked by the next wind company. A moratorium would ensure that another developer does not come in and take advantage of Cass County while you take your time to research and amend the ordinance. In order to protect Cass County, you need to not only consider the setbacks from a property line, but maybe you need to consider implementing a height restriction like Delaware County. Consider Wabash County's ordinance that has a limit of 32 decibels and 0 shadow flicker. Consider looking at Whitley County that used a multiplier and also required the decommissioning money up front from the wind company. Consider looking at Kosciuszko County and their proposed changes, which will, along with many wonderful things, include all foundations to be removed from the soil, and also all residents within a 5-mile area be notified of any proposed project. And if all else fails, and you do not want to put in the great deal of time to consider how to best protect Cass County residents, you can take the easy way out, like Pulaski County did last night, voting to ban turbines, along with Fulton, Allen, Boone, Marshall, Wayne, and Wells County, with a ban of industrial wind turbines completely. I thank you in advance for your time, energy, and efforts to support Cass County residents. I remind you that this specific ordinance is under litigation. It is imperative that you create a fair, impartial committee to review all of the evidence and propose changes to protect Cass County residents.
Morning. How are you guys doing today? I'm glad to hear about the committee. I appreciate that. Joyce Paisel, 3296 North, County Road 400 East. Okay, much of what I have to say is a bit of a repeat over what Paige had to say, but I wrote this earlier, and this is from the heart, and I hope that you will listen to me with the heart. In an era of evolving technology, most of us reluctantly maneuver through the learning curves necessary to remain current. Therefore, it would be very easy to bury our heads in the sand. It's understandable, but it's not very effective. Our 2016 Cass County Wind Ordinance has done just that. It does not adequately address the technology of commercial wind energy. In fact, it has ignored regulations for turbine heights, decibel levels, ground level at aquifers, only minimally addresses the regulations for setbacks. That's good news for an unbridled development which has been anything but transparent about our health and safety. Wouldn't it cause all of us a lot less trouble if our own county government researched the details, like noise levels, groundwater safety, setbacks, and heights, and created an ordinance meant to encourage growth while regulating these very details? Without an ordinance addressing these issues, we're encouraging a more powerful entity to do it for us. It makes us vulnerable to those seeking profits, but those who remain disconnected from us. Regulating technology is critical, and without an ordinance to control the details, we ignore the fact that rules are created for a purpose: protection against abuse. Recently, Common Sense suggested that a committee of research be formed to research the technology of commercial wind turbines. Those pesky little details like our fragile groundwater aquifer systems, adequate setbacks, height, and appropriate noise levels. Discussing these issues would promote knowledge, which would produce well-planned regulations. There should be no fear in sharing knowledge. Knowledge is power. If you fear knowledge or transparency, there's a reason: deceit. Even an official from this county entity on June 10th, 2007, was quoted from the Ferris Tribune as saying of our ordinance, "It's a living document, which can always be changed to meet new concerns." I finally leave you with this quote from Gandhi, who is a lot wiser than any of us. "The evolution of democracy in any country is not possible if we are not prepared to hear the other side." I guess I'd like to add to Gandhi, not that I'm that intelligent or great, but I would like to add, not only would we like for all of you to hear us, we would like to listen to what you have to say and encourage the transparency that was probably a bigger problem than the turbines themselves. Okay? Thanks a lot. Good luck with that committee.
Good morning, Morgan, 155 North, County Road 640 East. Okay. One of my main issues today, well, has always been, the questioning as far as how the location came to pass. as far as where this wind project was gonna be. So with the project now being dead, and Paige had already put some on there. And if you look, Fulton is banned, Alaska is banned, the others have stricter ordinances. Where on this, when you look at that map, that's, all those dots represent what a turbine would be in a perfect world, with all the counties, all the 3 counties. Yeah, I know it's not set in stone and all that stuff, but that's what they submitted, so. It was stated that, Jim even said that RES went to a neighboring county for a point of connection, and it didn't work. So where is it that this section, north of 200, and the east and west county line road, where's that gonna be? That's in the ordinance. I don't think that's gonna be a feasible place to always have this wind turbine project. So that's gonna need to be a consideration that's gonna need to be taken out of the ordinance, because who you're gonna connect to? There's nobody to connect to. So it makes no sense. So here's the project about phases, how we're supposed to be with all the counties. And that can't happen now. The other thing I wanted to say is, when you were talking as far as who's on the committee, I went back and did some, I can even find it. Somewhere in here. Oh, yeah, next page, 200 pages. When I think about a committee, I think of an impartial committee. People who are open to listen, to understand, correct? So here we have quotes from Jim Sailors, January 18th. Emotional. Those people can only see what's in front of their face and are concerned, are only certainly not concerned with anything other than what they want. February 19th. Will the ordinance be revised? I do not think so, as it is in for the current project. I skipped ahead. There's December 30th and a requote on January the 19th. A change to the rules this far into the project would kill, and it would be unfair to those who support it. There are no plans to revisit the county's wind ordinance, especially boasting property lines, setbacks to 2640, which would essentially stop the project and would be unfair to landowners in favor of the project. December 14th, there are no plans to change the setbacks, maintaining that the ones currently in effect are safe for 400-foot turbines. We are not going to change this. We are not going to change our meetings from day to night because of just one issue. We'll never have a meeting like that talking about Fulton County. So it's hard to understand to have somebody on the committee that has been negative as far as any kind of change. So the thing as far as going back to the project location, when you talked about northern Cass County, it was in April of 17th paper, 2011, back when they had community wind energy. It was already pre-planned back then for this area, that it said it would stretch from northern Cass County to southern Fulton County to Miami to Wabash and Kosciuszko counties. So that was planned back then. And then when RES then purchased community wind energy, then it just continued. So going through the research and stuff, I hope you guys look into all of the safety concerns that we've talked about. I found this, I'm not gonna print it off and give it all to you, because it's this thick, but it has everything pretty much in there that what we have talked about. And this was an exhibit for a lawsuit. Then the other thing that we were talking about, well, hasn't really been talked about too much, is something to be added to the ordinances. And it is called repowering. And I don't know if you guys are aware of that. And what that means is it takes from a turbine that is no longer working capabilities, and instead of decommissioning it, they just build a new one next to it. And that is currently going on right now over in Ohio at Mendota Hills Wind Farm in Ohio. And that project was only 15 years old. So I put together a list, cons kind of issues that we had. And it's just like cliff notes, nothing big long, it's just something for you to at least, oh, I never even thought about that, or something for you to kind of go back and look into. So I think that's all. I'm just gonna pass them out.
Thank you.
And again, thanks for your consideration.
Park your bag.
Oh, my God.
Sarah Craig, 5684 North County Road 600 East, 12 Mile, Indiana. I just didn't want to, not be a broken record, but agree with Mrs. Pagel about, give us the facts. Like, we have presented so much information to commissioners, and there has been a lot of information out there that you can research on your own. This project has offered us zero information, not one bit, aside from the height, which we ourselves found by contacting the Indiana Department of Aviation. No one even knew that. Everybody acted like it's not a big deal. Well, when the wind ordinance was created, it was in 2008, and the tallest wind turbine in the entire United States was 348 feet tall in Texas. Now it is 685 feet tall. And they're just going to keep getting bigger because the technology keeps changing. And I just want to, again, repeat that we just want some answers, you know, proof. Give us some proof. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Bill Rogers, 1361 East, 650 North. First of all, thanks for your work to establish a committee. I think that's a good step to review this. Now, I've just got a couple of questions, just things to consider. I'd like to know on your review and study, when will a proposed plan detailing what and when you folks are looking at, when will that be made available to the public so that we can look at that and perhaps help further the effort? And beyond that, when will committee reports on their research be available to the public on a scheduled basis? Thank you.
Sorry to return, but real quick, I pointed out at the last monthly meeting, the planning commission bylaws. I would encourage you all to look at number 406 and just make sure that you are within 406 for this committee. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Motion to adjourn.
Have Erin explain the process, because I think a
She
lot of
did
people
last
are confused.
time.
I think a lot of people are confused in the process. And from my understanding, the commission that we are setting up will review all the ordinance. And Erin, correct me if I'm not, because I looked this up, it was a week or so ago. But this commission will then take its findings and present them to the commissioners, and the commissioners have to do the final vote. So the committee will review the ordinance and make any adjustments and all of the changes that needs to be made and all that stuff. Then we vote on it, and then our vote, if I'm not mistaken, this is correct, then it goes to the commissioners for final vote. So all of our findings and all of our things should be public record.
Yeah, so just to let you guys know, every year we establish an ordinance review committee, so there was already one established, and that's why Josh used to be on it, has removed himself, now Stacy's on it. So the people that are on that committee were established in January, other than the change that happened today. What they do is they'll research with myself, and we'll put together some recommendations that then come here as a public hearing. At that time, that public hearing, that's when it's more of a discussion based back and forth between what we're proposing and concerns. And then, once that's done and is moved from this plan commission, it will go then as a recommendation for or against or what have you. Or it might go back to committee because plan commission may have changes or what have you. But at the point that plan commission does the recommendation to commissioners, the commissioners are the final vote. So they actually make the decision. All we do is the research and make the recommendations.
Right.
Absolutely.
Just, I want everybody to understand the process. There is a process of how all this stuff
Absolutely.
works. So when the committee does any changes, and they present them to us, then we get a chance to review and discuss and yes, no, and then we all get to put our input into it after they do it. It's kind of just like how the government works to pass a new law. There's a big process involved. So sometimes people get confused on, you can just walk in and say, can you change this? And it's a little bit more of a process involved, which I'm sure everybody's aware, but I want everybody on the same page because it makes the playing field more level so that everybody has a similar understanding of what needs to be done.
What's
But
the
you know
normal
what, I really
timeframe?
appreciate the fact that you, am I supposed to go forward? I'm so used to babbling at everybody anyway. It's such a small thing, and I feel so silly saying this, but I can't tell you how important it is what you just did. What you just did was break the silence. We're up here saying things that are very, very important to this county, to everybody, and never have we gotten much of a response. And anybody who would know me well enough, I have been pestering the commissioners. I'm sure, Josh, you hear about this, and I'm sure Mr. CAs, you hear about it. I go in and I pester them quite frequently, and that's the only way I can get anything. But as a group, when we have all of us here, I think that the anger is over, and the fear and the wondering and the deceit is there. And when you go through and pour through the ordinance as we have it right now, we are a blank slate for any, not just wind, but we are a blank slate for any company that would seek residents off of a small town like Logansport who desperately needs development. We are vulnerable, and we need to protect ourselves, and yet also make it a viable possibility for growth, but not at the expense of wondering what the heck is going on. You'll get a lot more out of the community if you've got your knowledge and your research and you share it with us. Then we aren't feeling like we should distrust you. Right now, we don't know anything. And when you don't know anything, ignorance breeds fear, deceit, anger, and that's what you've gotten for the last year. If you could find it in your hearts to open it up, and if we could find it in our hearts to listen to what you've got to say, we could have one powerful and one very appropriate ordinance that would lead to growth in this county. The kind of growth that we need, not determined by one man. The kind of growth that is a community-wide community-supported growth. And who doesn't want that? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a speech person.
Aaron, I know what the law says about public notice. Is that the only little blurb that's gonna be in the Ferris Tribune on X number of days prior to that public hearing? Or, I mean, sometimes those are really hard to find and,
So, I think that's one of the discussions that the committee's gonna have also is what is our time frame? So now that we've established the committee's gonna kind of sit and say, you know, what's our time frame? What all are we looking at? You know, how are we gonna notify? Are we gonna have a meeting, you know, outside our meeting, or are we just gonna have a public hearing? So that's not been decided yet, and I don't wanna be the one that decides that. I want that committee to decide.
I just don't wanna scour the Ferris Tribune every single day, making sure I don't miss that public hearing.
Mitchell does a great job, in my
Yes,
opinion.
he does.
He does.
He sees that, and I know he'll have something in there beforehand.
It's on you, Mitchell.
That's right.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion on that?